All three hosts are back in the house to share our best and worst moments of cruise travel. Times when we figured out how to make the best of a bad situation and the most of a good one. Today we're all about ocean cruising, but you can also jump back one episode to see all we shared for our other vacations. I'm Wendy Armstrong, and I never leave for a cruise without my ginger. And if you listen to the last episode, you will understand why. Because I can get some motion sickness at times, and you just never know when you're on a cruise if you're going to have some rough seas or something. So I always bring my ginger.
Nice.
And I'm Sandy Barnes, and I never leave for a cruise without my tennis shoes and my water bottle because I know I'm going to be eating like a maniac, so I need to be moving and drinking my water so that I don't feel like garbage.
Yeah, garbage isn't fun.
No.
I am Carol Beth Scott, and I never leave for a cruise without all the things that I pack to keep the bad smells away. I feel it's terrible. There's an entire episode where we talk about smells, so this is a recurring thing. If this is the first time you find us, just look for the word smell, and you'll actually see an entire episode dedicated to it. But I feel like they just kind of, I'm sure it's the humidity and the size of the rooms, but I will always pack a garbage bag or something equivalent to hold dirty clothes, not just for me, but for any other person who might be. Sandy and I are going to room together for the first time this November on a cruise. I will have a trash bag for her. And that is my way
I'll
of saying,
have one for you too, because I do the same. And mine are Febreze scented. Okay?
Oh,
I buy
nice.
the
I
scented
like it.
ones. I have boys.
Beautiful.
Whatever you can do.
Exactly. Raising boys changes everything. Well, there is, the people who make the poopery that you squirt into the toilets, and I've had to learn not to use baking scents in my bathroom because that did something weird to my brain. But so, it's like, no, I don't want a combination of those smells, but it's wonderful. So you pack that, but also they have a one for shoes now that I've just started to use, and we haven't hit summer, so I haven't really dedicated a lot of research time. I'm hopeful though. Sandy, I'm hopeful.
It's very scientific.
It is. You do what you got to do.
It should be good. I may
and
have to test that out
during
too.
the funk. Yeah. Well, my daughter Hannah went into our the room where the boys will gather and shut the door and play games, and they're all in their 20s, and she's like, "What is that smell? Like they shower, and I don't know what is the man funk, and I don't know, but I just we all can have a funk, so." I know, very important. We are starting on a very lofty level already today.
Yes.
3D TravelCast. But bring your stuff to keep the stink away, so you don't have to kick people out and put all their stuff on the balcony. There was a time we couldn't use the veranda on a cruise because my father's shoes were out there, and I just don't want to go through that again. So there you go. I know. All right.
Been there.
Yeah. So it's been too long since I've cruised with both of you together. The last time the three of us cruised together, it's been more than a minute. So today we're talking about mistakes we've made, and that is the worst of all, that we have not been cruising together more often. We may have cruised separately or in pairs, but it's been, I counted, 4 years since all three of us were on a ship at the same time.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know, it's wrong. Okay, so we're going to start with our worst mistakes, besides not cruising together. And my worst one was not to get insurance for a cruise that was, you have your cruises, you're like, I got a really good deal. And then you have your cruises, you're like, I was paying market value for this. And this was a cruise where I paid market value for it. And Joshua got norovirus and was stuck in, and we got, if you get sick on a cruise ship, which that's a great tip, don't get sick, but if you get sick on a cruise ship, you're locked in your room, you're quarantined, right? So because I didn't have any insurance, there was too bad. That is just the way it works. So I learned the hard way, and I don't make that mistake anymore. Absolutely the worst mistake I made. Yep.
Yeah. I feel like you could easily have a balcony stateroom to that. I don't know if you did.
Yes, for that
but
reason.
If you're quarantined,
you know what's the sweetest
you better
thing,
have
Sandy?
that balcony.
You'll love this. So one of David's dearest friends, his name is John, and his wife is Julia, and Sandy is their booking advisor at 3D Travel. It was the first time they cruised with us, and when we got there, they surprised us by upgrading, because we had never had a veranda before. Every once in a while, I'll go on an event cruise and someone else will do it. But, firefighter family, 3 kids. We're just excited to be on the ship. But they upgraded us to a veranda.
How sweet are
what
they?
a gift it was. I know.
Yes.
They really are. Some of the sweetest people. We're so blessed to have them. But yeah, so it was the first time as a family we got it. And it did kind of mess things up after that because now I'm all fancy pants and I think I need it every single time. So.
Yeah. It'll spoil you.
Good
It
and
will.
bad. Yes.
So my mistake was I went on a cruise and I did not bring a lanyard, and I had this little purse. I said I'm just going to bring my purse around, and so I don't know why I did this. Like to this day, I don't even understand my thinking in this. So I had my room key, and for some reason I had my credit card in this purse, which you don't even need that on a cruise ship. So I have no idea why I had that. And I'm going and I'm watching a show and I take the purse off and I sit it next to me. And of course I get up and I walk away forgetting my purse. Well, of course I'm hitting panic mode once I realize it. And so then I find it and it's all good. But it just made me realize, I just asked myself, why didn't I bring a lanyard on here? Because it makes your life so much easier on a cruise to bring the lanyard. And people, you don't need a credit card with you. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. So you don't need a credit card. So there's my huge mistake.
Or your ID that I've talked to people before, because they will they take your picture, for any cruise ship. So if you lose your key to get back in your room, it's not scary because you just go to the front desk. They make that key not work and your new key gets you in the room.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I learned the hard way why you should really know your ship departure times when you're in ports of call. And
so scary.
Oh boy, it was scary. So we were in Honduras. We were in Roatan. I think, yes, it was Roatan. And we were on a family cruise with my sister was there, my parents were there, my all of my kids and everything. And my husband had actually just had knee surgery a month or 2 before. And so he was on crutches and in a leg brace. And we were snorkeling, and my sister and her family, they were scuba. We were all on the same boat, but we were on the other side of the island. And we did not book this through the cruise line. That's a good tip right there. Book through the cruise line. They're more likely to wait for you. So we're over here, we're snorkeling, we're having a good time. We ate lunch, and then we get back in our transfer to come back, and the traffic is horrendous. And we're watching,
stressful.
My sister and I are freaking out inside. Our stomach is roiling, and we're looking at each other, and we're like whispering to each other, are we going to make it back? Are we going to make it back? My husband's sitting up front with the driver, and that poor driver, he said he was trying to calm him down because the driver was getting more stressed. The more my sister and I were getting stressed. So by the time we get back to the port area, you still have to go down these steps, and you don't just get off right by the pier. You've got a good ways, and you got to go through the shop area and everything. And so they drop us off, and we still had a long way to go. My husband is in a knee brace and crutches. And so half the family is running for the ship at full speed. I am trying to I'm like a little bit in front of Dave. He's going as fast as he can, and he's yelling at me, save yourself, just go. I'm like, no, nobody gets left behind. He's like, nah, I'll get a job. I'm fine. And so my sister runs ahead, and she's standing. Yeah, that's what he said. And then she's standing on the gangplank, hanging on. Like, nope, you're not moving me until they get there. Because it really is. Like, we are 1 or 2 minutes past sail time, and she's standing on that gangplank, like, not letting anybody move her until we get there. And then we sailed. We got back on. But know your ship departure times and know how long, even with traffic, it takes to get from one end of the island and back. Don't do what I did.
No.
It was so bad. But it's a great story now. It was not at the time.
Nope.
Now, Talk about highs and lows. Boy, did we crash after that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It was great. It was great. But another issue you did. So, Wendy, you recently got stuck at sea, right?
Oh, I did. Yes.
Which hurricane was that?
That one was.
Was that Ida? No,
No.
that wasn't Ida. What was that?
It was Ian.
It was Ian. Okay, well, it starts with an I. You were on the Disney Wish. Is that right? Yeah.
I
So,
was.
ship
ships.
itineraries can change. We have learned. So, Wendy learned this one the hard way, and we all know that it can. And I've missed ports of call because of the weather, because we missed Castaway Cay, the last Disney cruise we were on, because the waters were just too rough.
Too windy.
So it is. So we talked about in the last episode managing expectations. That is definitely something we need to do in a case like this, is manage talk to your family, talk to your kids, what may happen if you do get stuck at sea. They're going to take care of you. They do such a good job at that. They may circle around a calmer area of waters, but you need to have, in my opinion, you need to have a little bit of a plan. What am I going to do with my kids? If they don't want to stay in the kids club, how am I going to entertain them? How am I going to make sure that they know that everything is going to be okay and we're going to get home safely? So talk to them beforehand. If you get an extra sea day, it really is just more relaxation, in my opinion. It is. It's a treat. It's that many more ice cream cones at the free ice cream vending area. And I like to also, I like the little libraries that have the board games and stuff.
Yes.
That is a great place to go for something like this. But we also pack a little bit of really easy to pack games too. Things like regular decks of cards, because my family loves like spoons. Go to the buffet in the back where nobody's at and grab some spoons from the buffet, and you play the spoons game. And we like bananagrams. It's easy to pack. Little things like that can help if you get stuck an extra day at sea and you're not anticipating it. So that's one of my biggest tips, is manage the expectations and have a little extra packed just in case you need it.
I love talking to people about this because it divides them into two groups. You have the people who are terrified of being stuck at sea, and that's usually first-time cruisers. There are people who live their life in such a tight way that they can't imagine being away from work for that long. It really kind of uncovers where they're at psychologically, because it can happen. I can't wait for Wendy to chime in about how it unrolled for her, but I've never been blessed to have it happen. But I do think about it for two reasons. One, I know that they do have enough food to feed you for a month. But if you have someone who has a lot of allergies and a lot of issues, ships struggle a little bit sometimes with a snack. Like there's only so much fruit that a celiac person can eat, and different things like that. So we have like backup snacks for our allergen people.
That's
to
a
just
good one.
Keep it going, especially if you combined being stuck out there with not feeling well, because there's been times that actually there's been an illness on board, or fear of an illness, and so then everybody's stuck there and in their rooms. And so I do go all the way to that thought process, is how would we get through that, which everything you talked about was great. The other thing is, if we don't have this issue in our immediate family, but of course, like my parents' generation, they have a lot of medications. And so you want to pack enough medication to get you through. A distilled water needs to be there if you have a CPAP, whatever it is, enough oxygen tanks, whatever it is that you need in order for you to be okay, insulin, then you need to have enough, assuming that you were stuck, that you have a longer trip. And that's true for cruises and for air travel now, right? Like we need to assume that there's a possibility of getting stuck. But my fantasy is definitely to be on a ship and they go, "We're so sorry, we can't take you back." I mean, I'll feel sorry for those people that don't get on, but I'm pretty excited to be in their place. And Wendy, tell us, that happened to you. What was it like?
Was it as wonderful as I imagine it was?
Yeah.
It was pretty great, I have to say. Now, my situation is a little weird in that I had already planned on doing a back-to-back. And so for people who don't cruise often or don't know what that means, is I was going to do a cruise and walk off the ship to turn around and come right back on. That's what it means to do back-to-back. So I had already planned to be on this ship for 7 days, which was extremely helpful because one thing that when you get stuck at sea, you need to be prepared with the extra undergarments.
Yes.
You want extra undergarments. You also want to bring some laundry detergent just in case you get stuck at sea and you need to wash your clothes.
Your undergarments,
And
apparently.
that way you can rewear them again. I mean, you can wear them again without washing them, but depending on what you did in them the day you wore them, it might not be a good choice.
The aforementioned
So-
smells issue. Yes.
Yes.
Or if you've put them in those trash bags with the other things that you
Oh,
really
yeah, it's
didn't
not
want to touch
good.
again, then
Yeah.
it's like
True.
all mixing in
No.
the funk, and
Oh,
Yeah,
no. I can
no.
it's
smell
like a
it.
stew of funk.
Okay, stop it.
Yeah.
Stew.
Yeah.
Gross.
So what happened with us was, so we left knowing that Hurricane Ian was out there. And so I believe it was the second day we got a letter in our stateroom, and I'm on the Disney Wish, and we got a letter in our stateroom saying that we were going to not go to port on the day that we were expected to go to port because of the weather.
Oh.
And then I got another letter because remember, I'm doing back to back. And so I get another letter that says that my other cruise has been canceled and that I'm going to get this discount. Okay. So that they're taking care of us. You could hear people cheering because they were so excited to
That'd
be
been
on
me.
this cruise.
That'd
Yes,
have been me.
And
absolutely.
it was,
is our
I
dream.
believe, yeah, I think it was 3 extra nights. I'm having,
so
I
cool.
just like, I'm having a little brain lapse at the moment, but I think it was 3 extra nights. Now, by the third night, I will say, people were getting a little cranky. And
I could see that too.
it wasn't, they had plenty of food. All was taken care of. I had a friend who had allergies that was with me. She was fine.
Yeah.
But they were having to repeat entertainment.
That's what I was going to ask about the shows and stuff.
Yeah,
They did
'cause
them
it's the short
again.
sailing.
They didn't do them again, but you could tell. Well, okay, it was mostly not the night stuff. The night stuff
Okay.
was they would come up. They came up with things, and we
Okay.
actually got to see a show that they weren't quite ready. It wasn't quite ready to premiere, but because we were stuck at sea and they needed to showcase something, then we
Right.
got to see it. So it was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
And we happened to be on there when Hocus Pocus 2 came out. So,
Oh, and you
we
the
got to see
theater.
Hocus- Yeah, so that took some time. It was mostly the stuff that was during the day because remember, we're stuck at sea. Now we actually did get to go into Castaway Key after things had kind of calmed down. And so we were able to make it to Castaway Key, but there was 2 days that we were at sea
Yeah.
that we weren't
Just at
supposed to
sea.
be.
Right.
And so the entertainment crew, they were having to come up with all sorts of things. And so, you have people will complain about anything. Seriously, they will.
They will.
I thought they did a fabulous job. And
yeah.
considering the circumstances, I thought it was absolutely wonderful. And the captain came on constantly and updated us about what the weather is like because he said we may be able to go in on this day. Well, then he came back later on and said, sorry, that's not happening. And of course, you have people that were expected to fly out. So you had guest services line was just enormously long because they're trying to fix their flights and, they can't get calls out. So they're having to go to guest services. And we got Wi-Fi for free those days because they knew that we needed to have all these arrangements made and let our family know and, all that kind of stuff. So they did give us Wi-Fi for free those days.
Wendy, here's where you put in your travel insurance plug, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the
All those
first thing I
changes.
thought of when I had all these people that, they had hotels that were needing
Yep.
to stay because either they couldn't get out the day that we ended up coming back, and so then they had to stay, or they had to cancel their.
Transfers.
Yes, you name it.
Yeah.
There was a lot to it, and So, like my friend, I mean, I live in Florida, so not a big deal for me, right? But my friend, she had flights that she had to fix. Now, granted, she actually had to move hers one day forward because we were actually supposed to
Oh,
be on the
yeah.
ship an extra
Right.
day. And so hers had to get moved forward. But she was able to talk to her husband, and her husband took care of all that. But not everybody has
awesome.
that luxury, right?
No, they don't. If you're on the ship with your entire family, which this is a
Exactly.
family cruise line, of course you'd assume that you'd be with everyone. It's really hard. Like, I love that y'all went through the logistics. My first thought is let's entertain the kids. But we definitely, there is a lot of parts and pieces once you get off that ship that the best thing would be to do is to contact your travel advisor to help with maybe the post-night rooms and the transfers and stuff. So all you have to do is take care of that one flight on the way home too.
Yeah, and the great thing is that your travel advisor is going to find out either
Right.
before you do or about the same time you do
ma'am.
that your cruise has just been extended or canceled or whatever. And immediately they're going to hop on that, and they are going to start working the process, trying to get those transfers and get hotels canceled or get a hotel room, whatever the case may be. So absolutely. I mean, they are going to be right there with you. And so that's why you want to have a travel advisor, because for those who didn't, they're the ones on the ship during all this trying to take
They're
care
in
of
those
it.
lines. They're in the guest services lines, right?
They sure
Yeah, it
are.
kind of, it's funny you said that, Wendy, because we just had another Robin Themey, one of our other travel advisors, was on a cruise that was, it was
Virgin
impacted
Voyages.
by a death on board. Yes, it was Virgin Voyages. And she had heard a little bit. I woke up to the news and messaged her, "Are you okay?" And so we here at home heard all of this stuff. She knew something had happened, but she didn't have the information that I was able to have at home. So I kind of filled her and her husband in a little bit via messenger because, again, like you said, Wendy, your travel advisor is probably going to find out before you are or have more information in order to help you. So I thought that was an interesting. Hers was impacted by something completely different than yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I will say that the captain did an amazing job. He found pockets
That's awesome.
of sunshine and calmer seas. I mean, it wasn't, like glass, but
Right.
it was much calmer. And we really didn't have too bad with the rough seas. I do get motion sickness from time to time, and I really didn't feel it except for a few times. But
That's good.
really, and they did great with safety. It was mainly at night one time when it was raining and the wind was picking up, when they were trying to find that pocket. But they did an amazing job. I have absolutely no complaints whatsoever. And like I said,
awesome.
he constantly was updating us. And so was the cruise director sharing, okay, we are gonna have this in the lounge or whatever, and they did an amazing job. It was a lot of
lovely.
fun. I'm
I
ready
do
to
want
do
to-
it again.
Yes, I know. We're so jealous. So my travel agent failed me completely. That's just the truth. She had me booked on that cruise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
she
then
did.
when I received the invitation to go on a pre-inaugural cruise, she convinced me to be responsible and cancel that cruise that ended up being the one that was extended. So I was literally booked into that cruise. That travel agent is me, and I have failed myself miserably on this level. And it's not my first time. I mean, what was I thinking? I know I deserve zero pity. Like, I do get to travel a lot. I'm very blessed.
I just want to say
But
that if you
I was so
want
put
an
out.
amazing travel agent, don't become a travel agent because you are your own worst travel agent
you
advisor.
are horrible. Horrible
I am
to take care of yourself.
ridiculous with myself. Like once it comes to my own travel, I'm like, flights, what? What are you talking about? Do I have to get those?
You all know my worst story was when we were all about to leave Florida, and we went to check in for our flights and realized that David didn't have a way to get home. I flew him there. I flew all of us there. I flew everybody back home except for David. It's like, what?
Yep.
Was I just going to leave him there? We're playing miniature golf, and It's like, yeah, so it's terrible, but
I feel like
mean,
we should
just-
pick names out of a hat,
And take care
put
of
a
each other?
3D hat, and take care of each other. Because
Yes.
I fail with my own stuff,
Oh.
and I'm
Yeah.
I
So
can
many
handle
times,
anybody
yes.
else's, but I'm like, what
I
is
know.
this?
There's no much better at advocating for others. Well, I do. I was watching that, and I had other friends on there too. I was so put out. I mean, I was very happy for you,
You
and really ticked
almost
off at
were
myself
there.
at the same time. Yes. Well, because I did love
You
the Disney
almost
Wish.
made it.
It's a unique ship, and so
Yes.
it had so many new things to explore. So I think that was one reason why I thought it must be just a great experience. But I can see where on that last night you had people who were like, "And I'm done. I'm ready to go home."
Yeah.
There,
Oh
you
my
can't
goodness,
have
this has
too
been
much of a
great.
good thing.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I am Carol Beth Scott, and I am still jealous, if it's not obvious, that Wendy got stuck at sea and I wasn't there. Mostly happy,
And
but no,
Yeah,
really.
I'm
just
Sandy
happy.
Barnez, and I am right there with you, Carol Beth. I agree. I am very jealous of that. And I think even on that last night, I don't know if I could really be disgruntled.
I'd just extend it 3 more days. Yeah, we
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'm Wendy Armstrong, and I'm ready to do it again. So that just says a lot.
There it is.
It sure does.
There it is. I love it.
See you next week.
Bye.